21st century superhuman. And I know that the answers are inside. Yeah, I am a 21st century superhuman. Now is the time. Come on everyone, let's celebrate. We are the children of the sun. I can see you when I look into your eyes. We are the same, and we are light, yeah, we are one. And we can make a difference, yeah, we can be the change it takes to make the world a lot more fun.
Hi there, I'm Cary Ellis, author of 21st Century Superhuman. This is our 21st Century Superhuman show. And today I have with me my good friend, Barnaby Andersun. Hey, Barnaby, how are you doing today?
Hey, great. It's great to be here. I'm really excited. I've been on the show before. It's been a while, and I love talking to you. It's just really
Yes.
awesome.
And really, you are an amazing world traveler, and you wrote a book called Live Free, or Living Free, Live Free. And you're from Australia originally, and you travel the world, and you're involved in all kinds of amazing things. But today we're going to talk about one of the amazing things you're involved in, which is cryptocurrency. And I know a lot of this, we could call this cryptocurrency for dummies, maybe, because I know a little bit about it, and I know enough to think it is a really good, maybe future of our currencies. But I think probably a lot of people just like me sort of get it, but don't really get it. And I know you went and spoke at Harvard this year, and you've been involved in startup IPOs. You'll explain to us what that means, because probably a lot of my listeners don't even know what that means. So I'd love for you to just tell us about the world of cryptocurrency and what it means in our lives, and how we can be more involved and interested, and how we can perceive it being a part of our possible future.
For sure. Well, it's a big topic, and
I
it's
know.
something that is, it's something that has been very dear to yours and my heart for many years, because we're so interested in freedom and the human potential, and
Yes.
what that means socially for people all around the world. And we also obviously agree that economics is it's almost like the bedrock of human interaction and how people live in the world. The economics of basically how much money people have, how they use their money, what they can do with it, all of that. So the human realm is still so enmeshed with money. Everybody's just,
Yes.
everybody always, they say there's about 7 billion of us, and that we're all just wanting to get money. That's basically how the human
And we
world works.
kind of hope that it's part of an old system, and maybe someday we'll move beyond money. But in this day and time, we definitely,
Well,
money seems to be
yeah.
a vehicle to get us to
Yeah,
where we
so
want to go.
whether it's ever possible for humanity to live without money, we don't know, because there's not really any records about that so much. But that's what we have now, and so we've had a very controlled, centralized monetary system for a long time, hundreds, maybe even thousands of years. And so what's so exciting about cryptocurrency is it represents for the first time the potential for people collectively to be managing a monetary system that is decentralized, that is under everybody's control as a group. So it's not being printed and manufactured by somebody. Just that very concept that people could have a monetary system that was being used by people all over the world, that was not being controlled. That very concept is remarkable. And so the first
Yes.
cryptocurrency that came out, was Bitcoin, obviously, but it basically brought with it the technology of blockchain. So there's a few rather important technological terms here. Basically, blockchain is the technology, and cryptocurrencies, of which Bitcoin is the premier one, is one application of blockchain. So this is very important to understand. And so what basically the ethos, or the general idea that cryptocurrencies make available, is the ability to have a decentralized currency that people can use and even create. Now, whether we actually have one right now that is actually truly decentralized, that is another question, which we can explore if you like, because this is a very, very intense area, because people are calling it like money 2.0. They're talking about it being the shift into digital gold. They're saying that if there was any problems with fiat currencies, so basically the world is typically sort of run with fiat currencies, which basically is like a faith-based currency that's printed and created by central banks for governments, and we understand that. So basically, that's a very organized system, and we have this little sprout that's popping up of something entirely different, and with that comes a lot of change and upheaval potentially. So what we want to look at here is, well, what does this mean for the average person? Does this actually have a shot of success? Can this actually? Is this just a pipe dream? You know,
right,
what
Barnaby?
Yeah.
To toss out, I think the first question that comes up for me, and has for a long time, is, okay, we have the regular money, which is dollars and pesos and whatever is being produced and created by governments and banking systems, right? And so then if I have crypto, how do I trade that as something of value? You know, because these other things have all been given value in the world. And I think at a real dummy level, that's the first question that comes up.
Okay.
And it probably
So
has a really simple answer, right?
Yeah, to illustrate, basically, to get started with cryptocurrencies, I'd recommend you get started with Bitcoin, because that's the main one. And what you do is you just go and open up a Bitcoin wallet. They're free. You download an app, you go to a website, you'll have a wallet in less than 5 minutes. And a wallet is really just a bit of code. It's just like a password. It's like a whole bunch of numbers and letters, and that is it's like an email address, except it's for Bitcoin. Once you have that, I can send you some Bitcoin. So I get paid quite literally. Like I run a company called Block Alchemy, and Block Alchemy, we put together crypto and blockchain projects. And so I get paid in cryptocurrency. I get paid in Bitcoin, and also there's other ones like Ethereum. So once you have, and all the cryptocurrencies have this wallet, that's what they call it, instead of it's a wallet address. So once you have that, you can get paid in it. Once you get paid in it, well, you can pay other people. So one of the first mechanisms of managing and is pay people. So, but what about beyond that? Well, for example, there's a website called Purse. And with Purse, you can actually go and buy Amazon products, anything at Amazon pretty much, with cryptocurrency at a 20% discount. So
wow,
how about that?
20% discount, 20% discount on the products?
Yes. On the Amazon listed products, you get a 20% discount plus you're using your crypto. So here we go. So so I'll send you the link for that, and we'll
put these links under the video. Yes.
Yeah. So look, and so that's like one example. You'll find that there are web hosting sites that take cryptocurrency. Not all. So the thing is, if you do a search for services online that take cryptocurrency, I don't know what they're like, two of them that you could do, and then the third one is people. So you can pay people in wages or consulting fees, because if they're willing to. So what I'll often say to someone is, well, how would you like to get paid? Would you like to get paid in PayPal or a wire transfer, or would you like some Bitcoin or Ethereum? And these days, a lot of people have been happy to receive in cryptocurrency. So now I'm just explaining how that we can go into more detail about all of that, but then I'll just use my life as an example to show you what this can look like and what this means. So basically, I'm sure the listeners of your show, they're interested in freedom, like you and I are interested in freedom. And so I've been traveling around the world for almost 6 years now. So this is almost a year. I just got like a couple of bags, like 2 bags, and my laptop. And so I would just work online, and I just live in many different countries. I'm often living in Thailand or Mexico or whatever. And so for this whole time, I've not been stationary in one spot doing a job based on a location. So for about 6 years. So therefore, to my bank account, I've been paid via PayPal, and I've been paid through cryptocurrencies. And so now, 2 years focusing all my efforts in cryptocurrencies, because I feel it's such an exciting opportunity that we've never seen before, where we can all start to do that. So I've been able to, and I basically, all the people that work for me that in various projects, I pay them in cryptocurrencies. So I hope this is kind of showing you like some of the.
Right. So then if you wanted to go to the grocery store and buy groceries, and you had to have cash money to do that within a culture, do you then sell some of your cryptocurrency to get part of that cash, or you may have received it some other way as well? But if you wanted to totally do that with crypto, how would you? And I've heard that there's like a card where you can take it to an ATM, and it will either give you that has your crypto account on it, and it will give you cash out of the ATM. I don't know if those actually exist or if that's a future idea.
Well, they do. So we're basically, what we're talking about now is some current technologies, and also some, like, this is where there's almost like a battle going on, basically between the establishment. And when you're talking about cards, you're talking about Visa and MasterCard. And so now, because you're an American citizen, you're in luck. There's actually one card that's called BitPay. So if you just go to BitPay, you can. This is actually going to really open up, because you can get pay debit card, and you can transfer Bitcoin onto it. Once you have your Bitcoin on your BitPay debit card, then you can buy whatever you want at the grocery store, and it will transform. It'll automatically exchange the crypto on the card into the local fiat currency, and you can also do a withdrawal at an ATM. Now, the BitPay card is only available for US citizens, and so that's the catch there. Now, there were other cards, and I've had them, that were for other countries around the world, except that Visa MasterCard has been cancelling a lot of these in this last while, this last 6 months or so. So I've actually had these cards, I've used them, and now they've been cancelled, and they're apologising, saying that they've had issues with their issuers, basically MasterCard and Visa card. So there must be something going on here, wouldn't you say? Where basically, if it was all working in 2016 and 2017, which it was, and suddenly now, as cryptocurrencies are expanding and getting more popular, more people are getting these cards. There would be various reasons why they've been cancelling, and I expect that they would be reissuing them again. But right now, being an Australian citizen, I haven't found one that I can use right now. I explored all of them recently, and they were closed. But the BitPay one for US citizens looks like it's still working, because I have a friend who's using it.
So if I have a BitPay card as a US citizen, and because I travel like you do as well. I don't stay put. I don't have a traditional job. I've been really enjoying the adventure of living in different countries and learning about different cultures and what the needs of those cultures are. So could I, for instance, say use that BitPay card at an ATM in Mexico?
I believe so. I haven't tested this myself, but I have a friend who has a BitPay card, and he explained it to me how he was in the US and he used it in the US. So I don't actually I've heard very good things about it, and I know people who have it and use it, but that's the extent of it. And so I've used other ones in the past, and they worked well. So what we're seeing is these are some real world applications. So I think we should just cover up a couple of other points about this, because people get kind of confused about Bitcoin itself, because you don't have to buy one Bitcoin. At the moment it's a bit over $6,000 at the moment, and it's always changing in price. So now you don't have to buy one Bitcoin. You can buy $50 worth of Bitcoin, and so you could get your
say that one more.
Get your BitPay card.
Say that one more time. You can buy how much Bitcoin?
You could just even buy $50 worth or $100 worth of Bitcoin, because it's got 18 decimal places. So all the cryptocurrencies, they have like a 1, which is a full unit, and then you can have like these little bits of it, and that's why it's called Bitcoin. And so and like the smallest bits in it, they have a term that they call it Satoshi, and that's referencing the person or people or whoever invented Bitcoin and blockchain was Satoshi Nakamoto, and nobody knows who that is. So there's some very mysterious things about this. But anyway, the point is, you don't have to just buy one. You can buy $100 worth. And so if Bitcoin were to double in price, which it regularly does, and also it crashes again as well, it's very volatile. That means if you bought $100 worth and you sat on it, and suddenly Bitcoin doubled, which it could do, who knows, maybe in the next, I'm not giving you any financial advice here, I can't do that. But let's say it was to do that, then your $100 worth of Bitcoin today would be worth $200, because you had bought yourself, let's make it a bit easier. Let's just say you bought 0.1, okay, which today is worth $600. So that's 0.1 of a Bitcoin. So a few months ago, when it was worth $10,000, 0.1 was $1,000. And if we went back like 2 years ago, when one Bitcoin was worth, let's say $500, then 0.1 was $50. So you can see how in 2 years, 0.1 of a Bitcoin went from $50 to $1,000 or $500. And so this is a very volatile space.
What about then all these other cryptocurrencies? Ethereum is a more more popular one. Qubit is another one that I've gotten a little bit involved in. Tell us, how did those fit into the picture along with Bitcoin?
So, well, Bitcoin was the first one that came out in about 2009, and then there was several others that came out. About 6 that came out in the first few years, and Ethereum was one of those. Ethereum came out in 2014. And so what Ethereum brought with it was the ability to actually create new cryptocurrencies using its platform. So that was what was so interesting, was that suddenly you could use the Ethereum code and you could basically generate and make your own cryptocurrency, which means you actually were printing your own money. And so now there's thousands and thousands of projects that have done that. They've created, and so they've generated more money than all of the venture capital each year, and all them ICOs for initial coin offering, which is a bit of a play on similar to the IPO, which was the initial public offering. So like a company in the past would basically launch an IPO to raise capital on the stock market. These days, people will launch an ICO in the cryptocurrency world, initial coin offering, to raise capital for their cryptocurrency project to then go and build it. And so there's been thousands of these, and most of them have to be sort of scamming. They're basically just people raising capital and running off with it. There are some, obviously, that are legitimate. And so those are the ones to look for, because people have had huge gains. Like, people have turned, thousands of dollars into millions of dollars in the last 2 years using this. So it's been a remarkable time for that.
So we were just sharing that we were talking about Ethereum and its history. And I was sharing with you that I actually did a show, I think 3 years ago. I'll put the link under this, with a young guy. I think he was even in Australia, and he was an advisor helping people understand Ethereum. And 3 years ago. And then what did you share with me about what's possible with that?
Yeah, so 3 years ago, I haven't checked. I haven't had a chance right now to check the price of Ethereum 3 years ago. Must have been less than one. And so that means that if you had put $1,000 into it upon that show, like when you spoke to them, if you'd done that, okay, you would have, if you put $1,000 into it when you listened to that, when you did that show with that guy, you would have become a millionaire this year with that with $1,000. So because so like in 3 years, so that's the power of what happens with money in market. So if you like, when you look at when you keep money in the bank, like in 100 years, the fiat currency from the US dollar has decreased in value by 95%. So anybody that keeps their money in the bank, basically, if you had kept it there for the last 100 years, your $1,000 would have been worth $50.
Wow.
So that's what happens when you keep the money in the bank. That's why the rich understand this, and they always put their money into housing. They put the property, because they know that property is going to go up in value, and they also put some money in things like gold. And not many of them, but some of them are starting to look at crypto as an option as well. But the last place that they want to keep their money is in cash, because they always know that the cash goes down in value. And so just because of inflation, everything, this is always, so basically that's what keeps the system runs, everybody being poor as well, is you have to keep on devaluing the cash, so that people, what they're earning is actually slipping in value every year. That's how this works. But whereas something like with crypto, if you had bought like $1,000, now also equally, because crypto is so volatile, if you've taken your $1,000 and put it into Ethereum at the beginning of this year, to be quite honest and to be fair with the system of what's been happening, it would now be worth $200. So can you see, on the one, it's all about the timing. If you put $1,000 into Ethereum in 2018, right now, where we are is September 2018, your $1,000 would only be worth $200. But if you had put your $1,000 into Ethereum about 3 years ago, your $1,000 would have been worth over $1 million.
That's amazing. I mean,
and so,
yeah. I mean, I even remember when Bitcoin was 50 cents each or something.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I mean, I remember when Bitcoin started, and I should have bought Bitcoin. I just, I don't.
You've been aware of all this stuff. This is amazing. Like, seriously, like I didn't get involved when I should have, because I didn't understand the economics of things. The first time I took a bookmark because I have my bookmarks all dated. My first Bitcoin bookmark is November of 2012. So it's the end of 2012, and it was worth $10. But if you were looking at it even before. Like if you, then if
Yeah,
you're
I'm
looking at
not
when it's about 50
positive
cents,
about I'm not
then
positive about 50 cents. I remember when it was really
okay.
low though. Maybe it was $5. Yeah.
So look, if you any time like around then that you were looking at it, so you know if you take in $1,000, you know you can just imagine like if you took $1,000 and imagine if you bought if they were $1 each at the time, or even $10 each, and you took that means you would have bought 100 Bitcoin. Just do them now. Just get your cash and times 6,000 times 100 Bitcoin. You know, and you'll have a crazy figure that you would have had.
Well, I think that is the gold
So
nugget of
now
this
when
show. I think that's the gold nugget
so yeah,
right
so
there.
now we're okay. So now when we're talking about new cryptocurrency, something new, that becomes like that's kind of like the gold that everybody's looking for. Is like, well, what's the next Bitcoin? What's the next Ethereum that they can create? However, if you were really interested in getting in the space, the more you learn about it, and also if you were to learn trading, then it's possible to ride these waves ups and down, up the ups and downs. But it's not easy. This is the very thing to get involved in. And as you can see, by just that guy, by him not saying to you at that time, Kira, the thing you must do right now is Ethereum. If he had just made you promise to do that, your life would have been completely transformed within a
Yeah,
couple of years.
I got
So
that.
that's what happens here. Yeah. So that's what happens here. People just talk about stuff. The only reason that I got involved was because a man thing, and I've been working in technology for 25 years, and I've been researching Bitcoin on and off for about 3 or 4 years. But it took one man to say to me, I asked him what he was doing, millions of dollars through crypto mining. He lives in South Africa. He's made so much money through crypto mining and through trading. He'd become a multi-millionaire. And I said to him, well, what do you do? He said he did crypto mining. I said, that's a bit like Bitcoin, is it? I said, that's pretty cool. He said, it's not cool. It's everything, dude. Stop everything you're doing right now and get yourself something. It is your number one priority. And I mean your number one
Wow.
priority. And I was like, whoa. And from him saying that, I've taken a relatively small amount of funds and turned it into something, you know, really powerful and useful. And so it took that kind of conversation, someone to tell me to really focus and look at this and take action and buy some. That's what it took. So I could say that to you, like, wow, get some of this, because you never know where this is going to go. I can't promise you anything, and you know, don't risk funds that you can't afford to lose, all that
Right.
stuff. But you can see what by him not saying that to you a few years ago, what you lost out on, which was you know,
Yeah.
quite incredible.
Wow. Very cool. Very, very cool, and food for thought for sure. If we could turn back time, but that's not going to happen. So awesome. All right. To be continued. I still wouldn't
It's
even
not
know. I mean, other than buying some Bitcoin or buying some Ethereum, I wouldn't really know what to do. And I know that
right.
might sound kind of stick in the mud-ish. I would love to know what to do, but it still feels a little overwhelming to me. But
So that's the thing. It is overwhelming because there's a lot to learn.
so, how do you see this as a possible path to our future or where we're going? Um, I mean, any insights on, currencies are going up and down in the world. People are hoping that there will be an RV where currencies are revalued and money is paid out on that. Um, Many people are hoping that there will be a rebalancing in the economic systems of the world that will help average people have a little more economic ease in their lives. Do you have any thoughts on how crypto can affect that or might?
Well, um, the benefit or the hope, the potential for cryptocurrency is that it puts the power in our hands. We're not waiting for any government handout to come
Puts the
along today.
power, right? The power of what in our hand?
The power of currency, because
Right.
if basically it's about adoption. So currency, the only reason everybody's happy to use dollar was because they're all using it. They all agree to use it suddenly. And the same in Mexico, the peso, people just all agree because it's easy. You just the notes are printed for you. There's no value to them at all. Like there's none. So firstly we have to understand that in the fiat currency world, it's just an agreement. You just happily agree that this little piece of paper, you can just pick up any piece of paper and you go, well, you can't just take up a piece of paper now and write $100 on it and just say, this is $100 and give that to somebody else. You don't have the able to do that because they may agree with you and say, well, I like you, I'm going to take it. But they can't take it to a shop and do that. So there's the power is centralized with the banks. And when you're talking about this potential future where people have the currencies around the world, the wealth distribution, I mean, we could talk about that. That's another interesting topic to discuss. But that basically is still leaving the potential of that up to some government issue, some people, some centralized banks. With crypto, we don't have to worry about that. We just need to get as many people trained up as possible on how to use this. And then it doesn't matter what the governments do, all the central banks. If we, the people, start using crypto, then we're able to use it. Basically, that just means that we've now got our own currency. And if you were to create your own currency, let's say you have an idea, because that's all it takes. It takes a really clever idea to go, well, I'm going to create my own currency that I think is going to be better than Bitcoin, better than Ethereum, for a particular use case, a particular community, let's say, a particular niche. You launch that, you share it, you promote it, and people get excited and they start using it. And what if you were to go touring around the world and tell everybody about it? So that's really what this is about. The reason why you aren't using it is because you haven't been shown how to in an easy way. And so, and what's cool in this conversation is for us to keep looking at, well, what's an easy way to use this? And where can I use it? And how do I buy it? And I'll admit that it's not easy at the moment. It's not, because it's quite techy. And also the establishment, I believe, wants people to easily have this.
Right on. So here, this is an exciting topic that might take us down another path, but share with us what you went and spoke about at Harvard, because that just tells us that your understanding is something of interest to those of higher knowledge. And I think it's a useful thing to share right now.
Sure. Well, there were panel discussions that were being held there at an event in Harvard, and I was talking about about cryptocurrency mining and about the potential of that, and also there are various green projects, which is something that's quite dear to my heart, that basically are able to they're looking at using cryptocurrencies for energy distribution, because this is another. That was basically what that topic was about, because this is another area to look at, is the use of energy in the world and how we're paying for our electricity bills and so forth. What if that could be done in ways that we're using cryptocurrency? Because cryptocurrency at the moment, Bitcoin is being mined. This is another topic, like how is Bitcoin even created?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. How does that work? I mean,
yeah,
is there a short explanation to that?
There is, like, as you can see, everything we touch upon is like its own big topic.
Yes.
So the actual, so the creation of cryptocurrencies. Well, let's look at if you were to create your own using an ICO, which many people have been doing with Ethereum. That is just some programming. You just you just type in some programming language, and you generate however many tokens. That's what they're called, coins. These are coins. They're not real coins. They're digital coins and tokens. They're just invented out of thin air. You could say, I'm going to print 1 billion of them, and I'm going to value them all at $1 each. That is literally what people have done, and they've raised that much money. One of them is called EOS, and they just did that, and they're in the top 10 cryptocurrencies. So that's an example. But the method that Bitcoin and Ethereum use, and several others, is called mining. Now, it's not real mining like with like digging a hole. It's basically a computation. It's a process. It's solving a puzzle using a computer. And so when that happens, you basically, if you're the one who solves the computation, then you earn that bit of the Bitcoin. And so there are these huge mining farms. That's what they call them. It's like these server farms where you have thousands of these computers all hooked up together, and they're all processing these computations. Now, already there's so much Bitcoin power consumption happening at the moment that it's more than about a dozen countries around the world, like more than each of those countries. Like there's more power being used for Bitcoin mining than for Denmark or for Ireland or for several other countries.
Wow.
That's how much, yeah. So now it didn't used to be like that years ago, because as each year goes by, they have to use. It gets more complicated because there's less and less Bitcoin that's available. There's only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoins. That's why basically it has such a potential for having this massive value increase. Like people talk about how it will rise to $100,000, even $1 million one day. Maybe. I mean, let's see if this could be potentially possible. But the argument for that is because there is a limited supply. And right now they've mined about 17 million of them. So there's about 4 million left.
So it sounds like if somebody, like, say I just wanted to play with it and I actually think I own some little micro. I do have a Bitcoin wallet. I do have some little micro amount of it, but I could maybe buy a couple $100 worth. And since I'm from the US, get the BitPay card and just play with it a little bit and see what happens. I mean, that would give me just an experience of it.
So I would say at the moment, so let's look at the applications for it. Like for you to be using it on your BitPay card for that amount, I wouldn't be recommending that. You see, to actually buy Bitcoin itself, to buy crypto is not so easy. Like so basically, there are these crypto exchanges. You can also go, as an American, you can go to Coinbase. That's one of the easier places to go and buy some cryptocurrency. Now, what are you going to do with it once you bought it? I mean, let's look at this. Let's get kind of down to the brass tacks about this. So basically, once you get you actually have to get your account, your identity verified. So it's called KYC, Know Your Customer. That's what the banking system uses for basically, they have two terms, an AML, anti-money laundering. So this is like internal finance terminology that people use in the banking sector and in currency exchanges and stock exchanges to check out and see if they can trust you that basically you're not a terrorist. That's really what they're trying to validate. And then given that you're not, then they'll allow you to basically transfer like real world money, like the fiat money, the US dollars or whatever, over onto their exchange. And then from there, you can buy your cryptocurrency, or if it was a stock exchange, you could buy your stock exchange. So once you've bought it, what are you going to do with it? Well, because it took you quite a bit of effort to buy it, I'm not recommending that you, like people have put like most of their money in crypto. Then I have to basically transfer some of it to be able to work in the world because the world isn't taking crypto everywhere. So then I use some of my fiat money just to get by for plane tickets and food and so forth. But what am I doing? What do you do with the rest of it? So if you use some of your hard-earned money and you've gone through the trouble of buying some crypto, well, there's a couple of things you can do. You can just sit on it because let's say, let's just imagine that Bitcoin, as many people do think, who are like hard into coin, and I'm not giving any financial advice here, but they do believe that it'll hit $1 million of Bitcoin one day. That's like, let's say, in the magic future of in 10 years' time. Okay, let's just imagine that was to happen. So then, at the moment, with it being worth $6,000, and you bought a couple $100 worth, that could mean, I don't know exactly what the computation, the jump would be, but it'd be worth, like $10,000 or something. So that would be the jump in that direction. Maybe even I have to pull out my calculator and have a look. But so you could just sit on it. That's one option. Sit on it and not do anything with it. They call that hodling. You just hold it. Now, what's something else you could do with it? You could trade it. So there are these exchanges, and if you learn trading, then you can trade your crypto, and through that process of buying and selling, that means you buy when it's cheap and you sell when it's high, and then you wait till it goes down again, you buy again. You could, if you were good at trading, which is not an easy thing to do, you could turn your couple of $100 potentially, maybe, if you were good at it, into a few $1,000s. That's what people do, and maybe even more than that. So, so you can spend it, as I've already discussed. You can sit on it and wait for it to grow in value, or you could exchange it and try to accelerate the value of it by getting more of it. And so these are some of the ways that people are working with it.
That's all really interesting, Barnaby. That makes a lot of sense. So it's kind of like sitting on it as a savings account, a way to accumulate something, and learning how to sort of play in this world a little bit. I think when I bought mine, I bought it through a buyer. So I didn't have to have a bunch of approvals on me, I guess.
Well, that's if you trust somebody. You can use like local Bitcoin is a site that people were using for quite a long time just for peer to peer. That was the idea of it, is that it should have been a place for people just to meet and buy. So like, let's say if you have a friend and they've got some Bitcoin and you say, look, can I buy it off you? Can I just send you $1,000? And if they trust you, so then you wire them the $1,000 or whatever, or send it to PayPal, and then they send you the equivalent Bitcoin. I've done that for people. I've done that for close friends and for family. Absolutely. And so they've sent me their money, and from there I've gone and bought the Bitcoin and sent it to them, and so forth. So now I personally am very interested in trading, and I like doing that. I've been studying that for about 20 years. Trading is a very high risk activity to do, and most people fail at it. Like most people fail actually at business. The system is not set up really for people to succeed very easily with any of these things. And so it requires a great deal of discipline and patience and study to be able to do these things. But if someone was to do that and they liked and enjoyed and were good at reading the charts and all that, then they could do very well, because it's a very volatile market. Like Bitcoin can easily go up and down by $1,000 in a day. It's done that many times.
That's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, so, I mean, in December, like from November last year in 2017 until the beginning of January, it went from, I think it went from like $3,000 or $4,000 to almost $19,000 in 6 weeks.
Wow.
That's pretty intense. And so people have been, and so now there's only about probably less than 30 million people in the world that have some cryptocurrency. This is a very small market. So, and at the moment, like at its height last year, it rose up to about $800 billion in value. Now it's around $200 to $300 billion at any time, $200 to $300 billion. So it's really gone down by 2/3 to almost 3/4. So because now that's because of the volatility, and it's gone into what's called like a bear market when it's going down.
Right.
So if you go back through Bitcoin's history and crypto's history, you'll see it's gone through these ups and downs many times. And now some people say there's several reasons for this volatility. Some people say that it's a true indication of a peer-to-peer network, and that's why when you just got quite a small market of only so many people and they're buying and selling, then it can be this volatile. Like it's because it doesn't have the big institutional money involved. That's one way of viewing it. The other is that it's completely manipulated, and that basically there are these individuals who have huge holdings of it, and they call them whales. So there's now these crypto whales, they've accumulated so much Bitcoin, talking like thousands and thousands, tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin, like literally, like, so it's worth so many millions of dollars, tens of hundreds of millions of dollars, that they can just sell. You can manipulate the market by just selling a relatively small portion of your, $100 million portfolio. If that's what you have, you could sell that and crash the market. And then once it drops down, come back in and buy it up. And so you're scaring everybody. So that's what these market manipulators do. So that's what they've been doing this year. So they pumped up the market all the way to almost $20,000, and then they basically, that was enough. So they basically, and then they wanted to scare everybody, and so they've crashed it back down again. And then they're going to do that. I'm not sure if they're going to do that again. I can't say anything for sure, because who knows what's going to happen in the future. But this is a cyclic thing, and there's basically, from my own research, there are some very big players here. Like you can look up the mining farms that basically process the transactions. The biggest ones are all in China. And so basically anything that's on a huge scale that's run in China, well, basically you'd have to say that that's pretty much Chinese government. I think that would be a fair guess at doing that. So Jian Wu is the man who runs the largest Bitcoin mining farms. Bitmain has 49% control of all of the Bitcoin mining, and that is only one of his Bitcoin mining farms.
Wow.
Only one of his.
That's amazing.
And so, so when we talk about this being a decentralized space, in some respects, it's not actually. So this actually becomes, so what's happened here is that it was definitely decentralized, but now people have come in who have huge resources, and they are trying to take control of this, just like they've done with every other. Yes. Right. So basically, centralized power it corrupts and it takes dominance, and it will do that. And because it has already got so much leverage, well, it can easily do that again and again. So that's what's been happening here as well.
So I know of a few small, like Earth-oriented groups who have their own crypto, and they have a lot going on with it, and that I think is being traded among that group. So maybe they're starting an independent trading
They could be. Yeah.
currency of value.
They could be. I mean, the thing is, like, I'm still very pro Bitcoin. You see, everything I've just said just then is that I'm just sort of explaining the realities of what's going on in the marketplace. But it still has, if more people were to get involved, then we can sort of take back that potentially that control that's been centralized in various parts. Or, as you're saying, some of your friends have created their own. If somebody was to make a better version of it and then they release that just basically in a way prohibits any potential for centralized control, surely people are able to come up with some clever mechanism of blockchain technology that is truly decentralized. Now, then that could actually usher in a new potential. And people talk about the phrase universal basic income. So people are basically wanting to have this some sort of system which rewards a human for just being a human in the world. And
Yes.
so without them having to be slaves or
Right.
citizens, as people sometimes call them. So now there is no universal basic income, obviously, at the moment. Now, apparently, the European Economic Community, the European Union, they're talking about that. But once again, it's government talking about this, and this is not necessary. This is not going to happen from the government down. So there needs to be a clever system that's created from the grassroots, from the people. And I would say blockchain is definitely the technology to do that with. That would create a universal basic income. Now, Bitcoin is not that. Bitcoin was not designed to be a universal basic income at all. It is actually just a tokenized system for being a bit like a digital gold. And Ethereum was not designed to be like that either. So if somebody wanted to have a system that was going to reward people for just being people, and still have economic, prosperity and growth and incentive for people to take action in the world, then that's something that we don't have. And surely there is the potential for that, but it would have to come from everybody getting involved. Not everybody, but it would grow. People would get involved in it, and they would have to start using it. And so I think that getting involved in crypto, even now as it is a first step as an educational process. So you ought to buy a few $100s worth of Bitcoin, and then you ought to start studying it. Not because you're going to hope it's going to turn to $1 million, but because this is going to start training you in having a new type of money. And this wallet, it's not like having a bank account. It's like having a bank in your own possession. And now you're in charge of your own money now. So I think that's very exciting.
Nice. Well, that's a great explanation. I like it. And every once in a while, I also hear about somebody who's getting a mining machine. Now, what does that mean?
Remember we talked before about the Bitcoin mining farms and the crypto mining farms?
Right.
So that means that they've bought a specialized piece of equipment. It's a computer. They just bought this computer, and it has this, it's got a single purpose to basically run computations that will then generate cryptocurrency. So now, 5 years ago, that would have been a great idea for you to have gone and bought one and learned how to use it, and you would have now up. But these days, it's become much more expensive to actually be able to run that profitably. Like in the power consumption, the power usage to generate one Bitcoin, it costs about $5,000 to generate and make one Bitcoin.
How can that be possible?
That's just how much power it takes to create one. So that gives you an idea of the amount of literally electricity that is being required to generate to all these these computers that are running very hot to generate this.
So once we have free energy,
exactly,
it would take us past that.
Right. So there's some very interesting things that could happen. Like if people had access to free electricity, and then they could. I mean, that's why there's a lot of mining farms in Iceland as well, because of the geothermal. They're able to use different types of power to generate Bitcoin mining, and also because it's so cold there, so the machines don't run quite as hot. So there's some very interesting things about this. And so but back to that, like I'm very fascinated by the idea of a universal basic income, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that is something that holds promise for the world, because I just think that it's a good idea. I think it's good that people if there was a clever system that would reward people. And so I've been working on something myself that's in that direction. And the area that I've been playing with that I haven't seen being used is based around time. So every single person in the world has the same amount of time as a resource every day. There's 24 hours in the day. And so there's some where you could actually mine your own time. I know this is a pretty funny idea, but you could mine your own time, and through a computational process, it would generate crypto from that, and then you could share it with the people in your life. And there could be an exchange based upon that. There's much more to it, but that's an idea that I'm working with, and I'd like to put
Wow.
out there.
Quite a good idea. I like it.
Mm.
We, I'm sure, are giving people plenty to think about. And just from looking at cryptocurrency from a very simple standpoint, the standpoint of how do we understand this? How do we make it applicable in our lives? How do we think of it as being beneficial or a learning process? And any last thoughts on where you think the world currency systems are going to go with crypto figured in there?
Well, I do actually see it as like a battle. I think that's what's happening here. I think that we have an establishment that is where you have the US that's got $19 trillion of debt, that the current systems are just not working. They won't be working long term. There are some serious problems here. And so we're seeing cracks in all of this. And now we have crypto coming up. And I don't think they don't know quite what to do with it, or they just want us to suppress it. So, but we don't really even have to listen to any of that. That's why, my man, buy some crypto, get yourself a wallet, learn how to get some, buy a few $100s worth if you can. But this is not financial advice. Just see if you can get some, but do it from a learning perspective. So then you might just want to sit on it and hold it. Maybe you might want to start getting involved with transacting it between friends or co-workers. Or maybe you might want to even learn trading, which is a whole other skill set. And so that's just going to open up your world. And I would say, I would advise somebody to spend many months deeply researching this, because there's a lot to it. And what you understand, what you come to understand, you'll be empowered with. But there are some definite, I mean, I've done this, like many of my friends, we've been able to take, hundreds of dollars and turn it into many, many, many thousands of dollars. And so it can be very, very rewarding to get involved in this space. And I believe this is not even the early adopters. This is on such a fringe. We are nowhere close to even 1% of the world being involved in this. So anybody who touches this is coming in super early. And I believe that there's a big future here.
Nice, Barnaby. That's great. And I think, as you say, I think with everything kind of pulling together, everything that you've said here, in the frustration that people have, I think, with the old systems not being really equitable, and the the imbalances between debt and debts between countries and all of this, which seem almost impossible to overcome and to end up in a healthy system, crypto seems like a really viable player in creating new ways of us exchanging value. And really, I mean, I think all of us are creative beings. I believe we deserve to live on planet Earth and have food and shelter without having to pay for it. But at this point in time, we're kind of in a figuring out how anything like that could move forward. Everything from Michael Tellinger's Ubuntu to cryptocurrency. I think it's definitely a really viable piece of all of us trying to figure out how to make a better way for us to live.
Exactly. And so that's why I think just experiment, just dip your toe in, start learning, get a little bit of it, and see if it fits with you. If it flows and you feel like this is something you want to explore, then get involved. And just like Buckminster Fuller said, don't worry about trying to fix a broken system. Let's just make something new.
That's right. Very good. Okay, well, let's remember to breathe, smile, and love. And you can check out my website, 21stcenturysuperhuman.com. We'll put some links for Barnaby under this video. And Barnaby, I look forward to being with you again on an interesting conversation.
Great. Me too. Thanks so much. Thanks, everyone. Great to be here.
All right. Take care. Catch you soon. Ciao.
21st century superhuman. And I know that the answers are inside. Yeah, I am a 21st century superhuman. Now is the time. Come on everyone, let's celebrate. We are the children of the sun. I can see it when I look into your eyes. We are the same, and we are light, yeah, we are one. Hear now, hear my ancient prayer and sing along. We are awakening as one. And we can make a difference, yeah, we can be the change it takes to make the world a lot more fun. But if you're feeling kinda down and you need some inspiration to remember who you are, oh now child, please don't frown. You can choose a new vibration and these words can take you far. I am a 21st century superhuman, and I know that the answers are inside. I am the 21st century superhuman. Now is the time. Down and you need some inspiration to remember who you are. Whoa now child, please don't frown. You can choose a new vibration and these words can take you far. I am a 21st century superhuman, and I know that the answers are inside. I am 21st century superhuman. Now is the time. I am a 21st century superhuman. I know that the answers are inside. I am a 21st century superhuman. Now is the time. Now is the time. Now is the time. Now is the